Well, I know it's taken us a little bit to get to this point, and obviously had a lot of numbers to get through on the Hawks side of things. And I like the fact that we're starting out with these young kids, and I think these four do a lot of things that I like. Some differences between them, but I think all of them are very consistent in terms of their presentation. Do a really nice job of getting out here and getting those goats propped up. Those are the four that we're going to bring back out of this first class once we get through the second to be in the hunt for those top 5 spots in the junior deal. We'll talk more about those four once we bring them back in later on. These two right here I think are close, and I think there's a few things that if we could work on, I think it would elevate them up. Honestly, man, this is probably the best view I've got of that doe thus far, and I think if you'll keep that in mind and understand that's the look I got to have moving forward, do that a little more consistently from end to end, I think it's going to elevate you up and put you in a better position to be in the hunt. I think you do a lot of things good on the lead. I think you do a really smooth in motion. Biggest thing is just be a little more confident in what you're doing and just come out here and help sell the message. Gentleman right here is another one that I know you got to go that's wanting to fight you just a little bit, and I know that's tough, and I tell people all the time, you know, this is a team game. If your teammate doesn't help you, it's really hard to get things done. And I don't know if you necessarily got a good shake the whole time we're out here, because that one just wants to fight you on the race. I think you fundamentally understand what you need to do. I just don't think your teammate ever really helped you out. Gets you in a little bit of trouble today. Really nice way to start the juniors off. Let's put our hands together. Excellent, excellent job. We get our second class out here, and I think we've got some differences in maturity and just their skill set at this stage of the game. Thought the two gentlemen up front did an awfully good job. Very, very consistent. They get the call back. But I'm also going to bring this young lady back, and I'm going to do it with the understanding that you got a few minutes to get that one's attitude right and come out here and get it done like you need to, because I think the reason I keep you is because feet and leg placement, you're spot on in terms of getting those things fixed up. If you can get that one to mellow out, I love your intensity, I love what you're doing. Just got to get him to work. And I think if we can figure that out, it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like here in just a little bit. Going to bring these three back. We'll discuss them more in our championship drive for our junior kids. Thought they did an excellent job. Young lady right here is very close, and I like the fact that she gets in here and keeps them pretty consistent in terms of feet and leg placement. I think the biggest thing is trying to figure out what's the most natural way for you to get in and get that goat to brace. Got to work on getting his neck back and getting everything pieced together a little better from the side. Love your intensity. Love the fire you've got inside of you. just got to clean up a couple of things just from a presentation standpoint. Gentleman right here, I think, is another one that does a really blue-collar approach to it. Just gets in here and does what he's got to do and rolls on. And I commend him for that because I think he does well in motion. I think he's very consistent in terms of his feet and leg placement. At times, they're off just a little bit, and I think we got to clean those up to maybe drive us up a little higher. The biggest thing for me is we got to find some intensity. We got to get in front of that goat and get that one's neck up a little higher out of the top of his shoulder blade to really paint the picture a little better from the side. And then the young lady right here, it's unfortunate. I know you're a good showman, and I know you know what you need to do. That goat's just being 10 shades of goofy when it comes right down to it. Like I just mentioned to the individual in that last class, when your goat doesn't help you, it's hard to move up. And I think that's the problem we get into. He's trying to figure out if he wants to play ring around the rosy or even be here. And I think if we could get that one to mellow out and give you a good look, like you're doing right now, you move up a couple of spots in my mind pretty quick. He just hasn't made your job very easy. I think a really, really good way to round out our junior kids, if you guys will, let's show them some love as they get ready to leave the ring. Get into our second class of intermediates, and I think these four have done a nice job. I think just presentation, even though it varies amongst the four, I think they're the ones that to me are probably the most deserving to come back. I think they do the best job of keeping their goats in between themselves and I, and just doing a lot of correct things in terms of side presence and how we're presenting them. They're going to be the four that I bring back later on today. I think they've done an absolute good job in terms of getting these things propped up. Young lady right here is the one that if I'm keeping a fifth, it's you, and I think you're close. And I think the things we need to work on in order to drive us up and maybe get in the hunt, it has a lot to do with hind leg placement for me. I think of the five that are in contention, including yourself, you're the one that probably has the most trouble in terms of getting those back legs propped up. I think we study how we get that one to brace, and I don't know if that one's pushing as hard as we'd like to in terms of getting his back up, getting it up in him, and getting him to actually give you some touch and tone. I like your intensity, I like your presence and how you work the ring. We just got to clean up our feet and legs to go up higher. Gentleman right here does a really nice job. I like how he gets that one's head out of the top of its shoulder blade and neck, and how he gets that one, especially from its flank forward. I think you do a lot of things correct. It's from the flank back where we get in a little bit of trouble. We got to get those hind legs with inside our body wall and squared up, get that thing pieced together a little better for me. Turn up the intensity, figure out what's the most comfortable way for me to brace that goat. If you can do that, I think it's just going to make you go up even higher in class. Gentlemen right here, honestly, this may be the best look we've got of that goat. I think that's the squarest we've had that one in terms of feet and leg placement. Biggest thing we got to work on with you is you're taller, and I feel your pain, trust me. Being a tall individual and trying to show smaller livestock can be a little challenging. Figuring out how do I get my body in front of that goat and get that one to brace is the thing that if you can figure out at home, everything else is there for you to go out and do well. That's just a big component we need to fix for me personally. Young lady right here has the exact opposite problem. You probably get, even of the goats on this side, you probably get as hard of a brace as anybody. Almost too much though. If you watch when you brace into that goat, what does the spine do? It wants to go up. That's telling me I'm bracing that goat too hard. We're over bracing. If you pull your leg out just a little bit, let him relax, make sure his feet, his feet and legs are squared up. I think that's some little, 5 minutes a day. If you work 5 minutes, you clean that up, you're one that I probably get up even higher and are probably in contention. I don't know if that goat necessarily want to cooperate in terms of how his hip and hind leg is getting squared up. Like I said, we got to get that one's back in it in order to go any higher. Gentlemen right here, once again, this right here is the best look we've had thus far, and I know he just moved on me, but the look before that was what I'm looking for. Got to have that a little more consistency to end in. I think you do a good job of getting in there and getting in front of him and getting him to drive, because his back is definitely up in him. Just got to clean up footwork a little bit. I know he hasn't necessarily made your job the easiest, because every time you get him right, what does he do? He moves. And it's a challenge. We've talked about that already, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. I think there's a lot of potential that if you can clean up just a few details, it's just going to elevate you even higher moving down the road. Excellent, excellent set of kids. Like I said, we'll bring these 4 back. Let's put our hands together and show them some. Another awfully good set of young kids, and probably as deep of a set as we've had thus far. I think these 4 have just got out here and flat out got them stuck, do the most things from the side, and I think are going to be interesting to drop into that deal later on today. Those are the 4 we'll bring back, and I think these 4 are definitely going to be in the hunt once we get back into drive. I think they're awfully good and do things exceptionally well. Gentleman right here is going to get a blue, and I think he's close. I like what he does in terms of feet and leg placement. He's kind of a leg perfectionist, wants to make sure those things are squared up at all times. The biggest thing is we talk about what is the most comfortable brace and how do I need to adjust my body to get in and get that one to go, because I don't know if you get that one's back up in him as much as what we find in those top 4 at times, like we're seeing here, he wants to pull out of it. Understanding how to position our body is something we need to work on at home. Young lady right here is also going to get a blue. And I personally want to commend you because you definitely got the hardest job. Um, and I think the exciting thing is you could probably show circles around me with crutches. Obviously, you do have the hardest job. There is no denying that. And getting that one to prop up, there's got to be a bond there. And I think the fact that you come out here and get that one to pull up into you and just stand there is important. Little things that I would change today is just how we get those legs squared up at times. I think if you can clean that up, everything else is there. And the fact that you're getting around like you are and keep that goat presented like you need to with all of your circumstances, I think is way, way cool. That's why we're going to give you a blue ribbon. Gentlemen right here, I think honestly probably the best look we've got at that one thus far. And I think if we could have that a little more consistently end to end and figure out we need to get in front of that goat in order to get him to drive a little harder, I think it would help you out tremendously and probably elevate your game even more kind of moving forward. Like I said, got to get that look we had from end to end and be a little more consistent. Gentleman down here, another tall guy, and it's tough because you don't necessarily have a big goat, and getting in there and getting that one to piece itself together as a tall individual is really tough. I think if we could get that look right there on this side of the ring, it's a different situation and you move up. When we were over there, he just wanted to fight and really didn't want to work for you. Got his hind leg up underneath him quite a bit from the side. Clean up some of those things. Figure out what's comfortable for you personally in terms of the brace. And I think it's just going to make you that much better moving forward. I think an awfully good set of young kids. If you guys will, let's put our hands together for an excellent job. Intensity and presence of the three we've got on this side of the ring. They're going to be the three that we bring back out of our first class of seniors. I think they do a lot of things fundamentally. I haven't given advice thus far, but I think you know what I'm going to say. Let's get that one calmed down before we come back, because your intensity's big league. I like just your presence, your demeanor. Just got to get that one to work for you. Go out there, have a come to Jesus meeting, and let's figure this thing out and come back with some fire in your belly. Gentlemen right here, biggest thing, don't make sure we don't get that goat's front end too far forward. Get it, you want the neck to come straight out of the top. I think that'll help sell everything else you're doing so well, and I think that just elevates you. You young lady right here, I think probably has honestly got just the most out of it today, and I think probably puts the most positive things together from this side. At times, maybe get that neck too far back. Straight up, remember, Cobra, ready to strike, Swan, ready to grab me and drag me down to the lake. If you can keep that thing in mind, don't get it too far back, just straight up. That right there is where you need to be. I want to give you seniors just a little bit of advice before we come back, because I think this division is going to be awfully deep. We'll bring those three. Gentleman right here is close, and if I'm keeping four, you easily make the cut. Fundamentally, I think you do a really nice job of getting that one squared up. You're good in terms of your feet and leg placement. I think the thing that probably gets you in trouble, and I think we see this as we get into some of those older age division, got to find that intensity. You seem like the type of guy that's laid back, pretty chill, doesn't get too excited about too much. That's the first time you've smiled since we've been in here. And that's cool, I'm the same way. But I know that as soon as I walk in, even if I'm judging, if I'm showing, I gotta flip that switch. And I gotta be like, hey, you don't find me, we're gonna talk about it, all right? If you can get that mentality, it's gonna highlight everything you're doing, and it's gonna make you stand out that much quicker. Because I think of the four, you probably get just a little lost in the crowd, maybe isn't just as impactful with that first impression. Young lady right here is one that I think, you studied brace, and I think you're doing a really nice job in terms of on the brace. Where I probably get the hardest on you, and the reason I don't move you up one more spot, we got to clean up where we're getting our feet and legs landed at all times. I think we get our front feet and our back feet just a little too wide, getting them squared up and straight in terms of where they're sitting. I think it's going to be huge for you. Gentlemen right here, we've got another tall one, and you got a little goat, and it makes it challenging. I think the biggest thing for me is not necessarily that you don't get in and get that one braced. I think it's when you study how that one's hind leg is put together. Probably just get them a little too jumbled up. Need to square them up off both ends. Young lady right here, biggest piece of advice I'll probably give all day. You ready? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. There we go. I got some enthusiasm. The minute that you start believing you're good is the minute that things take off for you. All right? Confidence. Like, fundamentally, you do what you're supposed to. I catch you at times looking around. Oh shoot, am I doing the right thing? 95% of the time you are. So just believe in what you're selling. I think I said this last year. You're nothing more than a used car salesman when you come out in Showmanship. I need you to make me believe that that hunk of junk will go 160 miles an hour. And if you can get that mentality built in, sky's the limit. You're gonna prove me wrong down the road, and I can live with that. Sound good? Young lady right here, I think a lot of the same message. Just be confident. I know you got a little frustrated the longer we're out here, because that one's on the spin around, not necessarily wanting to get in there. If you stay calm, that one stays calm. And I think what's happened, you've got calm once we've got on this side of the ring, everything's mellowed out. Just keep that mentality going forward. Keep that one driving and just stay confident. And I think that goat's eventually going to realize, if I mess up, I'm in trouble. And when you figure that connection out, it's going to be fun. You guys will, let's congratulate these older kids. Awesome, awesome set, top to bottom. You know, before we pick a top 5 out of this senior deal, every show I go to, I try to give advice, and whether that's worth anything or not, I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. But I think for you older kids, you're getting to a point in your life that some of you, your roles are going to be changing very quickly. And I think the thing that you need to keep in mind is, you know, whether this is your last show or not, roles change. And just because you're not going in the ring doesn't mean you're not going in the ring. You got to get a hold of these young kids, and you got to be a mentor. You got to help them help them reach their goals. That's what I try to tell our older kids back home, and just do the things that maybe you had or didn't have in terms of your own life. Maybe you had a good mentor, maybe you didn't, and that's the mentality I always try to keep. We've always got to pay it forward, and I know there's not a lot of that in our country right now, but I think we've got kids that understand that concept, understand the value of that, and if you can just continue to work with these younger kids, it's going to make your life that much more fun. Because I promise you, showing is awesome, but seeing a young kid smile when they get their first win is worth far more than any ribbon, buckle, banner you're going to win. I can promise you that. You know, I think this set speaks for themselves. This is an absolutely good set of kids, great showmen, and while I think there are differences in terms of maybe presentation, how we control our muzzles, how we get out and go, I think they're still all can go run in a lot of different places across the country. You know, we think about a top 5, and honestly, there's 5 of them that have been on my mind since we got into those classes and we get them back out here. I think they are just the most unique in terms of their presentation. Check the boxes in terms of what I'm looking for in terms of first impression, intensity, and just being smooth and consistent. I think some little things split them. I think the one I'm going to end up using for someone that preaches front end assembly and how we control our muzzle, I think there's one that really hit home with me. I think there's another one that's going to be reserved that's way, way good. Like we talked, I think front end assembly between those two is honestly what separates them, not just on the brace, but I think also in motion, how we control them. We've got an individual that's going to be third that I think just does a fault-free job, gets in here and gets them propped up. One that's going to be fourth, the GOAT has probably wanted to bounce around just a little bit, but I think they've still stuck with it. And then I think we've got one that's going to be 5 that's still got some age ahead of them, still got some things to work upon, and is really, really close. And I think when they understand those minute details, it's going to elevate them towards the top of this deal pretty quick because their intensity is next level. I'll set the mic down. I'll show you the 5 that I like out of these senior kids. One more time, big round of applause. They've earned it. we get our division winners out here and start thinking about a champion reserve overall. And I think these three, honestly, just kind of fit the mold for me. For someone that, like I said, gets really hard on structure and how we control them in motion and understanding the right speed. I think that's probably what kind of elevated these three in my mind in their respected age divisions. You know, the three of them are out here, and I'll start by saying I don't know if there's necessarily a clear winner, because I think all three of them do things I love, and that's the neat thing to me is no matter the age or how the size of these kids, they're getting out here and getting them presented, and I think that speaks volumes of them as showmen, as people, and I think they're going to go on and do a lot of winning down the road. You know, when I have to set the mic down and think about a champion reserve, I think it probably comes down to two of them in my mind. We think about the two young ladies. They probably hit me just the hardest today. I think young man's got a bright future ahead. I do. He's got swagger. He's got the look, and I dig everything about him. I just think these two young ladies are just a little more advanced today in terms of what they're doing. I think when I think about what separates them from me, I think it has everything to do with in motion and how we control those goats on the go and how we work their top lines, how we work their hip and hind leg, not only in the brace, but like I said, understanding speed. I'll set the mic down and I'll show you my two favorites. I've obviously told you who my two favorites are, but I'll show you in which order I like them. One more time, let's congratulate our division winners out of Showmanship. Excellent group of kids all day long.